Hello. Today I'm doing journal number 8, also on body systems. Like last week I spoke on the digestive system and how in my personal relation to this body system and how it's shown up in my life that also seems to be pretty tied in with my nervous system, and these kind of work hand in hand. And I see that have like seen that in different phases in my life and different expressions. And when I read the 3 passages today, there was one on the digestive system, one on the nervous system, and I don't remember what the first one was on. Oh, it wasn't. It was a picture of the chakra system and then the organs where those chakras are. And when I was reading this thing on the the nervous system and reading about how connected it is to the digestive system, it's it's almost like the science behind what I made my journal on for last week, which I find really funny. And so I thought, okay, well, to kind of like integrate this, I can remain on this topic for this journal entry, but maybe explain it in a more scientific manner. Now that I've like understand in a more scientific way what like is really happening in my body when um I'm really stressed out, and then I get sick and I can't eat and I'm not digesting. And um so what I was reading in this passage is about the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and where the parasympathetic nervous system is this place within our bodies, or mm, it's this body system that is activated when the body is ready to rest, when it is ready to digest, when it is ready to integrate. Um, Whereas the sympathetic nervous system is when that is active, then the digestive system is put on hold, um, and it increases the activity of the heart and the lungs. And so the sympathetic nervous system is the part of the nervous system that is more in charge of the fight or flight and survival. And what I'm realizing is when I am in these situations, in these environments, in these relationships that are causing me a lot of stress, that this is my sympathetic nervous system that is primarily active. And what I am seeing is that from like what I've explained in journal number 7, around these different instances where I've been really stressed and all of a sudden my digestive system isn't working and I get chronically ill. I'm realizing that this stress is sending me into basically like a permanent, or like a more than I should be state of being in the sympathetic nervous system, where then my there's no use for my digestive system because my nervous system is telling me that I need to flight or fight, that my environment isn't safe, that it's not safe for me to rest and relax, and which is needed to digest. Um, and I guess this becomes so mm, severe that my digestive system just shuts down, that this signal from my nervous system is so strong and telling my body that my digestive system isn't needed right now, um, that could cause me harm later on if I need to run or do something. And I also like read something within in this in the paper about, like individuals who were under constant stress and like on constant guard for long periods of time, which is definitely what has happened in these instances that I had referred to in my past video. It states that, it can often be hard to find that balance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system again. And I think that's like exactly what I'm speaking on is I get way out of balance. I'm constantly in my sympathetic nervous system. I then get extremely sick. Then not only am I mentally stressed, but physically my body becomes extremely stressed. And these moments in my life where I then finally leave this environment, leave this relationship, leave whatever it is that is keeping me in this deep, unhealthy and imbalanced state within the sympathetic nervous system. Um, I then have to take this long journey into finding balance, into retraining my body to eat and showing my body, getting my body to a point where it will relax, where it will receive and begin to start integrating whatever had happened to me. And also, I think like receiving is a really important part of this. It's like getting my body to a point where it's able to take in food and um because when this has happened before where I'm in this like really chronic state where my sympathetic nervous system is constantly on, I lose a lot of weight and I get like under my BMI, like really, really unhealthy, skinny. And so when this has happened, my main concern when I finally am like, okay, I'm really sick, I absolutely need to do something, including leaving this unhealthy environment or relationship or whatever it is that's put me in this state. Um, one of those first steps is, okay, like, how do I begin to put weight on my body again? Which means, how do I get myself in a place where my body will allow me to eat? And, um, yeah, it feels really complex and um, like it states here, like people who have been under that constant stress for prolonged periods of times can find it really hard to find that that balance. And um, yeah, I think being in a state of deep stress where in a way my body feels beaten down and imbalanced and not healthy, to then be in that place and then trying to find time and safe space to rest and digest and integrate can be really challenging because everything is so like tense. Like the state that I am in versus the state that I'm seeking. It's like the state that I'm in is inconducive to finding the state or the environment that I'm seeking once I'm like deep in the waters of that. Um, yeah, and to speak on what I have done in the past, I think the two times in my life where I've gotten the most sick in a way that is connected to my digestive system and my nervous system, that once I leave the environment that is um, playing a part in that dysregulation, I find that I have a need to be slow and recover and like I need space to like cry and like move through emotions, and it feels really necessary to slow down, and my capacity to deal with like everyday life just like, I get to a point where that capacity is so little that I'm like I absolutely like I can't, like I need to just go and be in the mountains for a month or like whatever it is. And yeah, I really have to slow down and kind of reintroduce this like slow, safe pace into my life. And generally, like, again, still referencing these two specific situations I'm speaking on, I feel that it has taken um, probably about 2 months to fully reintegrate and to feel like my body is kind of balanced between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And I think there's many different things that are contributing factors to the timeline of that. I think it's much more than just like being in a safe environment. Um, when like you have like developed a trauma from being in that prolonged sympathetic state. Um, yeah, and like at the very end of um the passage before going into the nervous system and movement section, it also like speaks on that, like this importance between um the importance of like being in a safe environment, having safe relationships, and like how the relationships that you're in, the environments that you're in, the situations you're in play like such a huge and vital role in your nervous system.